I've got the top 10 must-adds for this week in fantasy basketball coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm going to count down the top 10 must-adds for this upcoming week. If you like this content, please smash that like button. And a special thanks goes to all of our subscribers who have been watching these videos, as you now account for almost 20% of all viewers. To the other 80% of viewers that haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so, as it helps me create these videos for you. Also, leave a comment on a player that you think deserves to be on this list. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy Sports. Use the promo code BEATTHEODDS to double your first deposit up to $250. And first-time users get a free square, like this past Tuesday. If you had bet on LeBron to score 1 point, and he did, then you win. Now let's dive right into number 10. We have Duncan Robinson, 27% owned, 27 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 14.6 points, 1.8 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 3.2 threes, 0.8 steals, 0.4 blocks, 1 turnover on 53% shooting from the field, and 100% from the line. America runs on Duncan, so do the Heat, and so can you. 27 minutes per game is a great number of minutes to get the production that you'd need from Robinson. We should all know what to expect from him at this point. That would be large amount of threes, very few rebounds, and defensive stats. But he's a smart roster player if your team is traditional forward and center heavy and could use the bump in the shooting stats while not really damaging your field goal percentage. To number 9 we go. We have Al Horford, 54% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 29 minutes per game, 10.2 points, 5.8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.6 threes, 1.4 steals, 1.4 blocks, 0.4 turnovers on 51% shooting from the field and 83% from the line. With the C's looking like a lock for a high seed in the East, we may see them rest some of their stars down the stretch. Now that may mean that Horford would be at risk for sitting himself. However, that does also mean that when he's in, he should be able to command almost 30 minutes a night. Now that has translated really well from a fantasy standpoint lately, as he's been a great source of three-point shooting in stocks. Let's go to number 8. We got Trey Murphy III, 48% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 26 minutes per game, 11.9 points, 3.1 rebounds, 1 assist, 2.3 threes, 1 steal, 1 block, 0.3 turnovers, and 47% shooting from the field and 92% from the line. The Pelicans are deep. The Pelicans are healthy. We can now see what the floor is going to look like for some of their role players. Now Murphy has settled in as one of the first wings off the bench and looks to have carved out a solid role going forward. His minutes will likely be matchup dependent as the season winds down, but I don't see too much fluctuation in minutes for the solid 3 and D wingmen. Let's go to number 7. We have Herb Jones, 59% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 30 minutes per game, 11.7 points, 4.7 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.8 threes, 1.8 steals, 0.2 blocks, 1.7 turnovers on 52% shooting from the field and 90% from the line. The Pelicans are deep. The Pelicans are healthy. Like Murphy, Jones has settled into a nice role as a starting 3 and D wingman on the team. What is also great for Herbie and Murphy owners is that they are both featured frequently on the floor at the same time. Now I give the scoring edge to Murphy and the stocks edge to Jones to finish off the year. Moving over to number 6, we have Precious Achiuwa, 53% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 41 minutes per game, 14.3 points, 11 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 0.7 steals, 0.7 threes, 0.8 steals, 1.5 blocks, 1.7 turnovers, on 57% shooting from the field and 83% from the line. 41 minutes per game. I really don't need to give any other reason why you should pick him up if he's available. I was asked recently if he's someone I would trade for. The answer to that is no, at least not in a H2H league. Barring a season-ending injury to either Randall or OG, Precious is not going to be featured nearly as much when the two are healthy. But we are likely weeks away from the Knicks being whole, so run with Achiuwa until then. Let's go to number 5. We have Paul Reed, 58% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 27 minutes per game, 9.3 points, 8.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 0.1 threes, 0.7 steals, 1.1 blocks, 0.1 turnovers on 52% shooting from the field and 86% from the line. Now here is the big that I would trade for. Many, including myself, are holding out hope that Embiid will make a triumphant return to the 76ers before the season is over. That would be the best case scenario. If he does make it back, I doubt that he'll have the same workload as he had prior to his injury, so I'd still expect Reed to be firmly in the mix for minutes down the stretch. Let's go to number 4. We have Gigi Jackson II, 40% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 26 minutes per game, 17.9 points, 4.7 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 2.9 threes, 0.9 steals, 1 block, 1.6 turnovers on 47% shooting from the field and 55% from the line. Now, who is this kid? He popped off for 27 against the Bucks on Thursday night, and he has been a feature player coming off the Grizzlies bench. He has hoisted double-digit shots in 8 of the last 9 games, and he has been averaging 20.7 points per game in the last 6. And he's only 19. He's still raw and inconsistent, but the numbers speak for themselves. GG is going to get all the touches that he can handle for the depleted Grizzlies down the stretch. To number 3 we go. We have Keontae George. 34% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 31 minutes per game, 16.2 points, 3.3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3.7 threes, 1.2 steals, 0.2 blocks, 1.8 turnovers on 46% shooting from the field and 71% from the line. Some of the top rookies have had a history of thriving in the second half of their first year as their respective teams flounder in the standings and start to transition towards development. We might be witnessing just that with George. He's popped off for 33 points in 41 minutes in a shootout against Golden State. Since he has moved into the starting lineup, we could be able to expect him to hit mid-30 minutes per game as the norm going forward. Let's go to number 2. We have Ayo Dosunmu, 44% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 34 minutes per game, 15.7 points, 2.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 3.2 threes, 0.8 steals, 0.5 blocks, 2 turnovers on 55% shooting from the field and 25% from the line. Dosunmu is a must-add, period. His scoring has fluctuated over the last couple of weeks, but it's evident that he's a big part of the Bulls roster to close out the season. He has the ability to be able to contribute in every category, which makes him all the more tantalizing to own. I wouldn't expect that Ayo would be able to keep his 55% field goal going, but his shooting is no fluke. Get him while you still can. And finally, at number 1, we have Tre Mann, 41% owned over the last 2 weeks. He's got 30 minutes per game, 13.7 points, 7 rebounds, 7.3 assists, 2 threes, 1.3 steals, no blocks, 2.3 turnovers on 46% shooting from the field and 100% from the line. The hottest name in fantasy circles must be Tre Mann at the moment. Shuffled to Charlotte in the Gordon Hayward deal, Mann has found himself on a team in need of his skill set, especially with LaMelo out with his ankle injury. My take is that Mann will fill the void left by Scary Terry, and we can expect that he will continue to produce even when, or possibly if, LaMelo makes it back to the team before the end of the year. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I am going to sign off for now, but I will catch you guys on our next episode.